Hello.
Yay, we did it.
Success. Success.
Success. Hi, Gepsie.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I cannot complain. I cannot complain. I will not complain.
That's a good attitude. I like that. Well, it's so wonderful to have you. Thank you for bearing with us. These Instagram lives can be a little bit tricky at the
This,
beginning.
there certainly can be. There certainly can be. And I guess we keep our guests waiting and in anticipation.
I know.
Right?
They've been very patient, very gracious guests. So thank you to everybody who has bared with us so far. I'm going to jump us right in. My name is Alia Mahmoud, and I'm our Director of Leadership Development here at Radical Partners, the organization behind the 10 Days of Connection. So welcome everybody to the third edition of our 10 Minutes to Talk series, where we will be having 10-minute conversations around 10 topics with 10 hosts that participated during the 2021 10 Days of Connection. It's a lot of 10s. For our new friends joining, anybody who's not familiar with the 10 Days of Connection, it is an initiative that challenges the entire community to engage in acts of connection, to break silos, and to cross lines of difference. Since 2017, for 10 days every May, dozens of organizations have built safe spaces for thousands of locals to engage in meaningful conversations, to build empathy, and to strengthen our community sense of belonging. And one of those people who has participated in the 10 Days of Connection is with us today. We are so thrilled to have Gepsie Metellus with us on the line today. She is the Executive Director of the Sant Haitian Neighborhood Center, and we are going to have a conversation today about a specific topic focusing on race, ethnicity, and national origin. Gepsie, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with you. Good afternoon, all.
So just to kick us off, can you share a little bit with us about Sant, a little bit more about the organization, and then the specific 10 Days of Connection topic that you all focused on this year?
Sure. So Sant is a neighborhood resource center specializing really in a local Haitian community, right? Ensuring that our community members have access to services, can in fact receive the information that could enable them to secure the resources they need, right? To enable them to develop the capabilities to thrive in our economy, right? And so we do this through a number of services, from employment to tax preparation, financial coaching, mental health counseling, health insurance enrollment, application assistance for an assortment of public benefits, right? We've got a weekly Sant Live show, right? Again, one of those new strategies to engage local community residents who have gone digital, right?
Yep.
And this is in addition to our regular televised television program titled Telescopie, which really is a tool to educate, to inform, and to engage, right? And so all of this, of course, happens with a healthy dose of community engagement, community organizing, if you will. And I think also the necessary advocacy that we all need to do to ensure that our community's issues receive the proper light that they need, such that we could come up with community-driven solutions to address them.
I have to echo Dre in our comments said that you're such a powerful force of good in the community, and I couldn't say it any better. I think since I've been in Miami, Sant has just been such an institution, such a key pillar of supporting the Haitian community and beyond. So tell me a little bit more about what your connection experience was about during the 10 Days of Connection. I actually had the pleasure of being there, but I would love for you to share with the audience a little bit more about that specific experience that you organized.
Sure. And of course, I made a mistake. Instead of sitting down somewhere where I could have my phone on some sort of tripod, that way I wouldn't have to try to impress you all with keeping a centered frame, right? So here I am. I bit off much more than I could chew. So I've got to talk to you, sound articulate, answer your questions, and remain centered, right?
Well, listen,
So,
you're among friends, so we appreciate your effort. No worries.
and that's really good. That's reassuring. And so for us, the 10 days of connections this year, it was so important that we focus on COVID, given given the agony, the pain, the challenges, the uncertainty, the emotional roller coaster that I think
Yeah.
all of us throughout this community had to deal with. And I think in terms of the Haitian community proper, there was so many lives lost. In this population, of course, I don't have to spell out for our friends on this live that Haitian community residents are Black, right, and tend to face the chronic conditions that make us more prone or more vulnerable, if you will, to COVID, right? In addition to the number of other socioeconomic issues that are challenging us, right? So we thought it was important to take a moment to reflect on COVID, on this experience,
Yeah.
what we saw happen in our community, the pain it brought, the fatalities that it brought, the
Yeah.
challenges around people needing to access services when in fact they could not, either because they were not digitally savvy or because they didn't have the connectivity, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so we as an organization, we struggled with this idea of, in spite of, so first we recognize that we're essential
Yeah.
personnel, right? We're an essential team of workers, but we also recognize that we needed to protect our team's health. We needed, just as we needed to protect our clients in our community. So as soon as the word came down from the county that, any and all non-essential
Right.
operations need to fold and just go virtual, we debated that
Right.
until we realized, we're very much essential.
Right.
And then we put in place, I think, a framework for how we could be in person serving our clients who needed the in-service, right? They needed in-person services. And so that was a part of the calculus for us,
Right.
right?
And speaking of the different needs of the different populations in the community that you serve, what struck me so much about your 10 days experience was the intergenerational component. And you really went straight on to say to people of different generations on the calls, how are you experiencing this? A young student versus an elderly man in the community. And that was so striking to see their different experiences of COVID. So what were you
That's right.
hoping? What were you hoping for the audience to get out of that experience, of that intergenerational conversation? What's one thing you wanted them to walk away feeling?
Precisely the differential and the generational points of view, right?
Yeah.
So how youth in our community fared and how they viewed COVID, right? With all of their hopes, their aspirations, their inexperience and relative immaturity, right? And couple that with the very adult experiences, right? The adults who tended to be older adults, who tended to be the most vulnerable, who
Right.
tended to be the ones impacted in terms of health, in terms of finances, and in every other respect by COVID. And so we thought it was
Right.
important that those points of views be brought to the fore for our
And I
friends to
thought that was so
understand and
powerful.
appreciate. Mm-hmm.
I really did. I thought that was
I'm
very
glad.
powerful.
I'm glad. And I think it brought, I think it was equally powerful for the participants, right? Because on the one
Yeah.
hand, the young person understood, I think, the gravity, right? Or the
Right.
seriousness of this situation for the rest of the community. Of course, young people, youth tends to view itself as invincible. Young folks tend to think that, nothing will faze them.
Right.
Nothing will impact them in severe ways as the rest of us, the adults, the more mature people
Right.
understand. You know, we understand the differences, right?
Yeah.
So
No, it's
it
true.
was important. It was important for I think the young people in particular to hear
Yeah.
from the older adults in the community and to see what that experience was for them, from their fright, their fears, their concerns, their mental wellness or lack
Yeah,
thereof,
absolutely.
right? The way their pocketbooks, their household finances were
Mm-hmm.
impacted. And of course, the isolation that many of them felt, right? And being not able to see their children, to see
Yeah.
family and friends. That was real, right?
Yeah.
Where the young person did not feel so isolated, but the
Yes.
older adult in our conversation certainly expressed that. And
Yes.
that was painful to see and
Yeah.
to sort of just reflect on,
Yeah.
right?
So how can we make sure we keep these conversations going? How can the community continue to support Send Law? This is where you can shout out any upcoming events or resources, or you're joining from Send Law social media. So I hope everybody on here who isn't following already is. But yeah, give us a few ways that we can continue to keep pushing these conversations forward.
So I think that our 10 days of connections need to probably become 52 weeks of connection.
Right?
I
I
don't know.
know.
We need to we probably need additional opportunities for our residents to come together, to share, to learn, and to really, provide a therapeutic environment
Mm,
for participants in any conversation, right? I think that's one. The second important benefit of a conversation is if we structure them properly, people discover so much more about their neighbors, so
mm,
much more about other communities. They discover the differences, but they also discover the aspirations and similarities, right?
yeah, and
So
the shared
I think
humanity.
our sector needs to. We know that we are innovative. We know that we are a creative sector. We don't always have the time to be
Right.
creative, right? Because there's so many fires that we're attempting to extinguish. But I think we need to figure out how to create a framework for these ongoing conversations.
Yeah.
And they can be a little bit deeper and more complex and more sensitive, right? Around race, around ethnicity, around culture, around cultural beliefs, cultural differences, and around the shared experiences
Yeah.
of workers, the shared experiences of immigrants, the shared experiences of parents across our ethnicities in this community, right?
Absolutely. It's so important that these conversations continue. 10 Days of Connection team and everybody involved would love to continue to brainstorm ways we can do this together all year round. So just know that you have a whole community behind you, behind Scent Law. We're so inspired by you, Gepsie. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us this afternoon. I could sit here all day and talk to you for the next 4 hours, but I will resist. And just for now, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who joined us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll do it again. Promise.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Have a good
All right.
afternoon, everyone.
You too.